Something just happened in the WNBA, and honestly, it's kind of embarrassing. You've got two of the most followed players in women's basketball, Angel Reese and Paige Bueckers, facing off in a highly anticipated showdown. Social media was buzzing. Promos were flying. Reebok was hyping up their Golden Girl. This was supposed to be the game. But when the cameras cut to the court, something felt off. The arena, half empty. The energy, flat. And the fans, nowhere to be found. For a league that's been pushing Angel Reese as the face of the future, this moment wasn't just awkward, it was a reality check. Despite the millions of followers, brand deals, and highlight reels, the one thing missing was actual fans in the seats. And here's the twist. Caitlin Clark wasn't even playing. So what's really going on? Why is one of the WNBA's biggest stars struggling to draw a live audience? Is the league's obsession with social media stardom backfiring? And how much does it really depend on just one player to stay relevant? What happened that night might seem like just another game, but it exposed a much bigger truth the WNBA doesn't want to admit. Angel Reese has been everywhere lately. Magazines, sneaker ads, late-night interviews, you name it. Her Instagram following tops every other player in the WNBA. Her nickname, Bayou Barbie, is trademarked. And brands like Reebok are throwing their full weight behind her image, pushing custom shoes, clothing lines, even hinting at her own signature logo. She's got everything a modern athlete dreams of: clout, visibility, and marketing firepower. But there's a growing problem. For all the online hype, Angel Reese's actual games are struggling to attract crowds. In her most recent home matchup, one that featured both Reese and rising star Paige Bueckers, the ticket sales were shockingly low. Just 41 tickets were sold in the final hour before tip-off. 41. That's not just disappointing, that's almost unheard of for a game the league itself had been promoting as a major event. This wasn't some random preseason scrimmage. It was held at Wintrust Arena, with a capacity of about 10,000. And this was no ordinary matchup. It was supposed to be the battle of the WNBA's next generation. So why was the arena barely half full? Why were tickets being listed for as little as $20 and still struggling to move? It's a question the league doesn't want to answer, but fans can't ignore anymore. If Angel Reese is the face of the WNBA's future, why isn't anyone showing up to see her in person? This wasn't just any game. It was the first WNBA showdown between Angel Reese and Paige Bueckers, two of the most talked about young stars in women's basketball. Paige had already made waves in college with her silky smooth game and cool under-pressure persona, while Reese had become a media sensation for her bold confidence and viral moments. On paper, this was gold. The WNBA promoted the matchup. Fans buzzed online. Even the players seemed to know it was a big deal. So why did it feel like a dud? The game took place at Wintrust Arena, a relatively small venue by professional sports standards. It holds about 10,000 fans, and yet it didn't sell out. In fact, during the entire broadcast, cameras never once panned out to show the full crowd. That's usually a red flag. When broadcasters avoid wide shots, it often means they're trying to hide how empty the arena really is. Reported attendance was 9,025. But here's the suspicious part. That exact number had also been reported for the team's previous game. Same number, 2 games in a row? Statistically, that's extremely unlikely. And fans started to question, are these numbers real, or are they inflated to keep up appearances? This was supposed to be one of the most hyped games of the season. Reese on her home court, Booker's bringing in her own fan base. Big stars, big promotion, big expectations. But instead of a sellout crowd and electric atmosphere, fans got a quiet arena and a broadcast that looked more like a mid-season college game than a marquee WNBA matchup. And here's the kicker. People are starting to wonder if the league even wanted to show how empty it was. Angel Reese is the most followed WNBA player on Instagram. Her highlight clips rack up millions of views. Reebok is designing custom gear just for her. From the outside, it looks like she's a superstar in every way. But inside the arena, the silence is deafening. Despite all the online attention, the seats are staying empty. This isn't just a one-time fluke, it's a pattern. Game after game, the hype around Angel Reese isn't translating to live ticket sales. Even with rock-bottom prices, some tickets dropping to just $20, fans aren't rushing to the box office. And that's a massive problem for a league that's betting big on digital fame turning into physical support. Online buzz is loud, fast, and global. It creates the illusion that millions are tuning in. But social media engagement doesn't mean people are buying tickets, wearing jerseys, or showing up to cheer. Likes don't pay the bills, views don't pack arenas, and retweets won't keep a franchise afloat. The Reese Buchers game should have been a sellout. Instead, it became a case study in the difference between being famous on the internet and being a true draw in real life. And it begs the uncomfortable question, are we confusing popularity with influence? Because while Reese is everywhere online, one player is noticeably missing from this story, and her absence might explain everything. There's a reason the atmosphere felt flat during that Reese versus Buchers game. And it wasn't just about the empty seats, it was about who wasn't on the court. Caitlin Clark. Ever since she entered the WNBA, Clark has been the league's undeniable spark. She's not just a scorer or a playmaker, she's an event. Every game she plays becomes a headline. Every arena she visits sees a spike in ticket sales. And when she's on the court, fans, casual and hardcore alike, tune in. The numbers prove it. When Clark suited up for the Indiana Fever against the Mystics, the game drew 581,000 viewers. When she missed the next one, that number dropped to just 235,000. Same teams, same network, two completely different levels of interest. That's not a coincidence. That's star power. Another example, the Liberty versus Fever game with Clark on the floor hit a peak of 3.24 million viewers. That's a record-breaking number for the WNBA. And every time Clark plays on ION, viewership jumps to a guaranteed million. No other player, male or female, is moving the needle like that right now. She's doing what Michael Jordan did for the NBA in the 90s, bringing in fans who never cared before. She's what Kobe was in the 2000s, a magnet for attention. And without her, the league feels hollow. Angel Reese might dominate the highlight reels. Paige Buechers may have next, but Caitlin Clark has now. And her absence from that so-called marquee matchup, it left a hole no other player could fill. Caitlin Clark isn't just popular. She's holding up the WNBA like a tent pole. Let's be honest, when one athlete's presence can nearly triple viewership, drive national headlines, and cause ticket prices to skyrocket overnight, that's not just influence, that's dependence. And while that may sound like a good problem to have, it's also dangerously fragile. Clark goes down with an injury, suddenly the cameras don't pan to excited crowds anymore. The vibe shifts, the buzz fades. Even her own team, the Indiana Fever, loses its spark. Attendance dips, viewership craters. The league feels quieter, slower, less important. That's not just unfortunate, it's a warning. Because what happens when a league starts building its entire identity around a single player? What happens when that player can't play? You don't just lose games, you lose momentum. The casual fans tune out, the media looks elsewhere, and the very foundation you've been building starts to crack. It's not a knock on Angel Reese or Paige Buechers or any of the other rising stars. They're talented, they're marketable, but none of them can match the instant electricity Clark brings the moment she steps on the floor. That's not hype, that's reality. And it's revealing just how much of the WNBA's current surge isn't a wave. It's a one-woman tide. Let's say you're a casual fan. You hear all the buzz, Angel Reese, the rise of the WNBA. You decide to give it a shot. You turn on the game, and what do you get? A broadcast that looks unfinished. That's exactly what happened with the Reese versus Buechers matchup. The cameras missed critical plays. Commercial breaks ran long. The broadcast returned after live action had already resumed. At one point, viewers came back from a break, and the players were mid-foul adjustment. No replay, no context, just confusion. This wasn't on some obscure stream either. It was on a national platform, Amazon Prime, ION, big-name networks that are supposed to showcase the league's best moments. Instead, fans got what looked like a rushed, low-budget production that didn't match the hype surrounding the players. And this isn't an isolated incident. Complaints are stacking up. Poor camera work, weak commentary, inconsistent coverage. Sometimes the league relies on local feeds, even for nationally relevant games. The result? A viewing experience that feels disjointed and unprofessional. Here's the hard truth. When you're trying to attract new fans, presentation is everything. You can't sell the league as the future of women's sports if the games feel second tier. The star power might be there, but if the product looks sloppy, people won't stick around long enough to notice. Casual viewers expect polished, exciting broadcasts, and when they don't get that, they don't come back. There's something strange going on with the numbers. 2 games in a row, same team, same arena, and somehow the exact same attendance was reported both times. 9,025, not 9,100, not 8,900. Not even 9,026, exactly 9,025, twice, back to back. Now, maybe that's a coincidence, but the odds? Not likely. Especially when fans watching from home are noticing something very different. A lot of empty seats, entire sections visible with no one in them. No crowd shots, no real atmosphere. and no reason to believe that number is accurate. So what's going on here? Some are beginning to wonder if the WNBA, or teams within it, are padding the stats, inflating attendance numbers to protect narratives, propping up the image of a sold-out league built around its social media stars, even when the stands tell a different story. Think about it. Angel Reese is being positioned as the face of the future. Reebok is all in. ESPN highlights her every week. It's in everyone's best interest, teams, sponsors, the league itself, to make it look like her games are packed, her matchups are must-see, and her brand is winning. But when only 41 tickets are sold in the hour before tip-off, that illusion gets harder to maintain. If fans are being misled about attendance, that's not just a bad look. It's a breach of trust. And in a league that's still fighting to grow its audience, trust is everything. Because eventually, the numbers have to match the noise. And right now, they don't. If the WNBA wants to grow, it can't rely solely on die-hard basketball fans. Hardcore supporters are loyal, but they're also limited in number. Real growth comes from drawing in casual fans, the ones who don't follow every stat, but show up for the big moments, the drama, and the stars. And that's exactly where the league is slipping. Caitlin Clark brought those fans in. She made every game feel like an event. People who didn't even know what team she played for were still tuning in. She reached beyond basketball, into pop culture, into mainstream conversation. Her presence didn't just boost viewership, it changed the feel of the entire league. But now that she's temporarily out, the vibe has shifted. Angel Reese, Paige Bueckers, even other respected names like Sabrina Ionescu, none of them are creating that same spark. Not yet. Their talent is undeniable. Their followings are huge. But casual fans don't just want stats, they want spectacle. And without Clark, that's been missing. Viewership for non-Clark games tells the story loud and clear. Fever versus Mystics with Clark, over 500,000 viewers. Without her, barely 200K. Other games without her, like Sun versus Lynx or Storm versus Mercury, struggled to even break 400K. For a league pushing toward national relevance, that's not enough. Even Angel Reese's most hyped game, backed by sponsors and filled with social media promotion, couldn't pull fans into the building. That's the problem, because if casual fans don't care, the sponsors leave, the networks lose interest, and momentum fades. The WNBA doesn't just have a star problem, it has a connection problem. It hasn't yet figured out how to make people care about the league. Not just the one or two stars in it. The WNBA has made strides. It's built stars. It's gained sponsors. It's finally getting airtime and headlines that used to be impossible. But underneath the buzz, a tougher truth is rising to the surface. The league has become dangerously dependent on Caitlin Clark. When she plays, the ratings soar, the tickets move, and the games feel important. When she's missing, everything shrinks. Viewership, energy, and even the quality of the broadcast. That's not just a star missing. It's the heartbeat of the league suddenly going silent. Angel Reese might be the most followed player in the league, but followers don't fill seats. Paige Bueckers has the skills and spotlight, but it's not converting to national attention. Even with millions of views online, the real-life engagement just isn't there. And that's where the WNBA faces its biggest challenge. You can't build a sustainable league on one player, no matter how big her impact. You can't fake full arenas. You can't edit around empty seats forever. And eventually, fans and networks alike will stop believing the hype if the product doesn't back it up. The Reese versus Bueckers game was supposed to be a celebration of the next generation. Instead, it revealed how thin the foundation still is, how much the league is relying on flash instead of loyalty, and how quickly things unravel when the one player who really moves the needle is out of the picture. So, where does the WNBA go from here? It needs to stop chasing viral moments and start building something deeper, something more stable. Invest in the experience, not just the image. Build stars that fans connect with, not just follow online. And most importantly, create a league where every game feels like it matters, even when the biggest name isn't on the court. Because here's the bottom line. If $20 tickets and two of the most followed athletes in the sport can't fill an arena, something's broken. And fixing it will take more than filters, followers, and flashy promos. It'll take honesty, it'll take investment, and it'll take real strategy before the hype finally runs out.